All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we go into the next set of chords, which will be the 11 chords, I want to talk about the different types of triads. I didn't mention this yet, but this starts off as triads, and we learned a few of them, which will be the major and the minor triad. We did that with the 7 chords and 9 chords, and we talked about the triads just a little bit too, but I didn't mention the diminished and the augmented triad. So there's 4 different triads that you need to know: major, minor, diminished, and augmented. We're going to be talking about that today, so grab your bass. Let's go. So first and foremost, before we play these as chords, I want to figure them out as triads. Just play them as separate notes, just 3 notes back to back before we play them together as a chord. So the first triad that we learned was the major triad. Is made up of the root note, the major third, and the fifth, the C, E, and the G. The second triad that we did was the minor triad. So all we did was take the major triad and we flatted the third. We made that a minor third. So the root note, minor third, and the fifth, the same as the major, right? So those are the 2 that we definitely went over. I want to go over the diminished triad next. We talked about the diminished triad in other lessons. When we talked about the modes, the chords that go along with the modes. We talked about a diminished triad or a diminished chord. We talked about that just a little bit, but I want to show you the formula of the diminished triad. So we want to take the root note, go 3 semitones up from that. That'll get you D sharp, and 3 more semitones up from that. That'll give you F sharp. Okay, so those 3 notes together, you got C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, and that'll create that diminished, right? That diminished sound or that diminished triad. All right, we're going to be talking about how we play that together or as a chord in a minute. But I want to go over the augmented triad. So now with the augmented triad, you just take the major triad and you raise the fifth. You augment that fifth, hence the word augment. All right, you just raise that fifth. Okay, so it's just like a major triad, but the fifth is the one that's different. Usually we're used to the fifth being the same in every triad, but it's a little bit different. And the diminished is actually flat. A flat 5, and the augmented is a sharp 5 or a raised 5th. All right, so you have diminished and augmented. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to play those back to back. So you have major. I'm just going to play the major triad. Okay, so the major triad, trying to figure out how I want to play this. But anyway, got major triad. Up here, we played it like that before with the C major triad. We got C, E, and G. Minor triad, we just flat that third. Okay, minor chord. Same thing. Now we have the diminished. So the diminished would be the root, the minor third, and the flat 5. All right, so the fingering for that, I'm playing the C with my 4th finger, the E flat or the D sharp with my 2nd finger, the F sharp with my 1st finger, if you can see that. I know my fingers are kind of crunched up there, if you can see, all right? But it's all a whole step apart. So A string, whole step backwards, down, D string, whole step backwards, down, and G string. All right, pretty simple format. All right, so that's your diminished chord, your diminished triad. Okay, and then the augmented triad, very simple. We take the major, triad, and what do we do with the 5th note? We raised it, right? So that's our 5. We got C, E, and G. We raised that. Very crazy sounding chord. And I'll show you how to implement these as well. I'll probably save that for another lesson, but I wanted to show you the actual triads that you need to know. So major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Okay, so those are all the triads that you would need to know. So like a major chord, you already know. You already know what the major chord sounds like, that happy sound, right? Or minor. That minor sound, that's what the triad will be. I'm playing some bigger chords with some other chord extensions in it, but minor triad, that's what that would be. Sounds a little muddy down there, so I'll bring it up here. All right, you already know what that sounds like. All right, diminish. I like to play the actual upper extension from that too. So if you were to play a diminished chord, so I would play the C, the D sharp, F sharp, and then the A, right? So I like to actually skip the fifth note of that arpeggio or of that triad and play the next note, which will be the A. So it'll sound like, instead of that's just a different way to play the diminished chord. I like to play it like that, only because that fingering can be a little tough sometimes. Either way, because it'll be the same thing down here too as well in a different positioning. So I have my C, I have the A, and then I have my F sharp here. It's just a weird way of playing that diminished chord. Anyway, experiment how you would like. And then the augmented chord. What is that? All right, very eerie sounding chord, and sometimes it's actually used in a lot of blues charts or blues songs, right? All right, so it's used a lot to go from the 5 to the 1 in a blues setting. You're using 7 chords or dominant chords. I'm just messing around. But anyway, that's where you kind of put that chord, that augmented triad. And those are the exact notes too, the C, the E, and then the G sharp. Okay, did I mention that note before? Yeah, C, E, G sharp. That will be your augmented. All right, so I hope you got that. I just wanted you to know the fundamentals and the triad fundamentals, to know which 4 you need to know: major, minor, diminished, and augmented. I almost forgot myself. But I'll show you exactly how to implement all of this stuff like I was just doing. I was just playing around. But I'll really show you seriously how to show you how to play these triads in an everyday setting, and even just separately as separate notes, not just as chords. So you can get a lot done with just these 4 triads. But anyway, make sure your notes are coming out clean, clear, and precise, like I say all the time. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.